Hello and welcome back. 2023 was a pretty good year for action figure collecting, with a lot of companies both large and small doing a lot of interesting things. And looking ahead at 2024, it seems that trend will continue. So in this video, I'll look at the things that I'm currently looking forward to in 2024 action figure releases. It's been a minute since Hasbro released their reissues of Kenner's Real Ghostbusters toys. After releasing the 4 main characters, 4 ghosts, the Ecto-1 vehicle, and a roleplay toy, it seemed that reissue line was done. But with a surprise announcement coming very late in 2023, Hasbro will continue the Kenner Real Ghostbusters line by releasing the Fright Features action figures of Peter, Ray, Egon, and Winston. The Fright Features Ghostbusters are highly desirable toys from the original Kenner line, so new releases will be a welcome addition to the Real Ghostbusters reissue series. Another announcement late in 2023 was that Mezco was adding Batman the Animated Series to their 5 Points line. The 5 Points line is a series of 3 3/4 inch 5 POA figures, similar to what Super 7 has been doing with the Reaction line. But Mezco's 5 Points include a variety of alternate body parts, so you can change up the poses on the figures without having any added articulation. Seems like a strange approach, but after recently receiving the Godzilla Destroy All Monsters 5-point sets, I found that the sculpting, paint, and overall quality on those figures was fantastic. So I went ahead and pre-ordered the Batman Animated Series 5 Points line, which includes Batman, Robin, Joker, Catwoman, and the Batmobile. Of course, Mezco is notorious for not being able to meet many of their pre-order release dates, so who knows if these will actually come out on time, but I did pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store, so I will not have to pay for these until they're actually released. Mattel is continuing the Masters of the Universe line in force in 2024, adding Filmation-style cartoon characters to the Origins series, figures based on the Netflix series Motu Origins to the Masterverse series, and also doing the Turtles of Grayskull crossover line with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But they've also promised to continue releasing classic characters in the Motu Origins line through Mattel Creations. From that line, they've already revealed Rock-On, or is it Stondar? I can never tell, Extendar, and Cyclone. As of yet, we have no idea how or when those are going to be released or what the cost will be. So hopefully I'll be able to pick those up. And in the Masterverse series, the one figure I plan on grabbing so far is the New Eternia Triclops figure. Boss Fight Studios, who are known for their Hero Hacks 1/18 scale figure line, are branching out into a 1/12 scale line called Epic Hacks. And as part of that line, they will be releasing a classic Red Sonja figure in 2024. Their Red Sonja looks to be a great looking figure, very closely resembling how she looked in the Marvel Comics of the 1970s. And she comes with a variety of alternate parts and weapons. And the Boss Fight Epic Hacks Red Sonja is a bit less costly than the recent Red Sonja release in the same scale from Executive Replicas. I'm a fan of the original Marvel Red Sonja comics, so I'm looking forward to picking up this figure. Superhero toys have been staples of my collection since I was a kid, and I'm glad to see the modern iteration of Migo going all in on superheroes. Migo's 50th anniversary series featuring DC superheroes was a mix of reissues from the 70s and new characters, and they will continue that line in 2024 by adding a variety of brand new characters, including Brainiac, Deadman, Firestorm, Nightwing, Bizarro, Dr. Fate, Two-Face, and Red Tornado. And I'm definitely picking up at least a few of those. Additionally, Migo President Marty Abrams announced over the summer that they will have a deal in place with Marvel Comics. I know since Migo came back several years ago, many Migo fans had high hopes that they would be able to strike a deal with Marvel. There are no details yet as to exactly what Migo will be releasing or when. Hopefully their strategy with Marvel figures will be similar to what they've been doing with DC, by releasing reissues of some of their 1970s figures, as well as creating new characters that have never been done in Migo style before. And I've got a wish list of many Marvel characters from that era that I think would look great as Migo figures. Of course, you can't talk about superhero figures without mentioning Marvel Legends. I think recently Hasbro has struck a nice balance between releasing figures based on the original comics, as well as figures based on the MCU. Although, as we see from people shopping at Ollie's and Ross, some of the MCU figures haven't been doing really well because the source material has not been very well received. But the 2024 Marvel Legends releases do look promising. At the top of my want list is the X-Men's Angel in his classic red and white costume, the X-Men 97 release of Nightcrawler, and a new villain in the Spider-Man retro card wave in the form of Jack-O-Lantern. And while I don't normally collect Marvel Select because of their larger scale than Marvel Legends, Marvel Select is doing a release of Fantastic Four villain Annihilus. And being that Annihilus is a monstrous villain, I'm okay with having him in a slightly larger scale. Going back to DC, we have McFarland Toys continuing their Superpowers line into 2024. Although the line is riddled with repaints, especially of Batman and Superman, McFarlane is continuing to release new characters, with Green Lantern and Sinestro already announced and up for pre-order. And luckily, unlike the last two villains released, Black Manta and Reverse Flash, who were Walmart exclusives, Sinestro will be available everywhere. There is no concrete information about where Superpowers will go from there, but there have been rumors circulating that a future wave will include Green Lantern Kilowog and the Silver Age Blue Beetle, as well as two new vehicles in the form of Blue Beetle's Bug Ship and Brainiac's Brain Ship. If those rumors are true, I know all of those would be very welcome additions to Superpowers collectors. McFarlane also announced a wave of 6-inch figures in the same style as their Batman 66 series, based on the New Adventures of Batman, the Filmation cartoon from 1977. Although these figures are not super articulated, the price point does reflect that, as they are less expensive than Marvel Legends and McFarlane's DC Multiverse releases. I do think this is a nice looking line of retro figures, and anything inspired by cartoons from the 1970s is right up my alley. I don't pick up as many Transformers as I used to, as I have been much more selective in the figures I pick up because of their ever-increasing price points. There are two new figures from the Transformers Legacy series that have been announced for 2024 that I plan on grabbing. Those being a new version of Beast Wars Silverbolt and a new version of Beast Wars Snarl, aka the Tasmanian Kid, who appeared in Japan's Beast Wars II anime series. There is also the impending and expected release of Transformers Legacy Dino King. Although we have no concrete information on this yet, it appears that Dino King will be a Hasbro Pulse release. Dino King is a combiner that first appeared in Japan's Transformers Victory series in the late 1980s, when fans saw the legacy releases of the Core Class Dinobots, and the fact that there were 6 of them and they combined. It was not a stretch to assume that those 6 toys would be recolored into a new version of Dino King, who was originally a combiner made up of 6 members. I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit now and talk about a series of toys made by Chap May. Chap May has created a new toy line called ACID, which stands for Artificial Combat Intelligence Defense. The ACID team battles Beta, the battle-enhanced tactical androids, in a great-looking original science fiction type toy line. The ACID line contains human and android figures who battle each other in various transforming vehicles and mech suits. And the line also includes a giant playset base. Chap May's ACID line reminds me a lot of the Leonard Star Troopers line that I picked up last year. A great, full-range, inexpensive toy line. Of course, the problem with Chap May products in the US is availability. While Chap May does work with Walmart for their Kid Connections line, and Toys R Us for their True Heroes line, products under their own logo can currently only be found in places like Family Dollar and Dollar General. Chap May has stated that those stores will be able to carry the ACID line in 2024, but to what extent is unknown, as those discount stores usually only carry smaller price points. So I'm not sure if the larger vehicles and the playset will be available in the US, but hopefully they will. Plastic Meatball is a small toy company that was founded by former Mattel employees. They have been creating 5 POA action figures, similar to Super 7's Reaction line, under a variety of licenses, including the Kellogg's cereal mascots, Time Bandits, and Labyrinth. Plastic Meatball does have a licensing agreement with King Feature Syndicate for the characters from Flash Gordon. One of their recent releases was a set of 1980s Burger King style collector glasses based on the 1980 Flash Gordon movie. But Plastic Meatball also announced that they will be doing a new wave of action figures based on the old Filmation cartoon and Mattel toy line. In 1980 and 81, Mattel released 3 waves of 8 figures for the Filmation version of Flash Gordon. Rather than do reissues, Plastic Meatball has said that they are doing a 4th wave in the same size, style, and packaging design as the original Mattel line. They have given no details yet of exactly what that 4th wave would include, but I'm assuming they would want to do all the main characters that never made it into the Mattel line, which would include Dale Arden, Prince Baron, Princess Aura, and maybe even Ming's robot sentries, who were ever present in the cartoon. Plastic Meatball's Flash Gordon series is the thing I'm most looking forward to from smaller makers going into 2024. The last thing we'll talk about is my old friend Godzilla. 2024 will be Godzilla's 70th anniversary, so I expect a lot of different merchandise coming out next year. Japanese company Bandai, who is probably the most prolific in putting out new Godzilla figures, has already released a new version of the original Anguirus in Japan. That should be coming to the US shortly, and I have that one on pre-order. They also revealed that they'll be releasing a new version of Godzilla's son Minilla, aka Minya. Bandai also recently released a poll asking fans what figures they would like to see next. 2 of the choices on that poll were the giant praying mantis Kamakiris, as well as Gabara from Godzilla's Revenge. Both of those characters would be welcome additions to my 6-inch scale Godzilla Movie Monsters line. There is also another film coming out from Legendary's Monsterverse this spring, Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. And toys from that new movie have already begun showing up in Walmart stores. It was announced in 2023 that Playmates Toys had lost the license to create toys based on the classic Godzilla movies, but Playmates still retains the rights to create toys from the Monsterverse. Some of the toys that have been found in Walmart already may constitute mild spoilers for the film, so I'm not showing those here. But these characters we see here, including the new villain, the Scar King, have already been seen in the trailer. In addition to the Playmates action figures, Jada Toys will be releasing a remote control version of Godzilla from Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, which will have movement, light, sound, and the ability to generate a heat ray breath. Besides toys, there are several projects coming out from Marvel Comics in 2024 that have gotten my interest. Marvel has brokered deals to reprint several of its licensed titles from the late 1970s, namely Micronauts, Rom, and Godzilla. Micronauts, originally owned by Migo, and Rom Space Knight, originally owned by Parker Brothers, are now part of the large cache of intellectual property that is owned by Hasbro. Because these titles were set within the Marvel Universe, they included characters based on the toys as well as original Marvel characters. This prevented reprinting of these series due to the various rights issues. But Marvel has brokered a deal with Hasbro to start reprinting Micronauts and Rom in full-color omnibus format, which is great news for fans of those 1970s comics. That also leads me to the question of whether or not this new deal may also include toys. Could we finally see a modern Rom Space Knight in the Marvel Legends line? Or could we see a new iteration of the Micronauts? If not from Hasbro, then perhaps licensed to Super 7. Just speculation on my part, but it seems that if both Marvel and Hasbro went to the trouble of brokering this deal, to limit it just for comic reprints would be a missed opportunity. Marvel also came to a deal with Toho Studios to reprint their 1970s Godzilla King of the Monsters series. The last time this happened was back in 2006, when they published this black and white essential volume that I have here. And this volume has been out of print for well over a decade. So it was welcome news to learn that Marvel will be publishing a Godzilla omnibus in time for Godzilla's 70th anniversary in 2024. What's curious to me is the branding of that omnibus, Godzilla The Original Marvel Years. Titling it The Original Marvel Years implies that there will be new material coming involving Godzilla and Marvel. For a while now, Marvel has gone about reacquiring some of its old comic licenses, like Star Wars and Conan, as well as gaining new licenses like Aliens and Predator. So could new Godzilla comics from Marvel be on the horizon? As I said, 2024 is Godzilla's 70th anniversary. And being that Godzilla is at the forefront of pop culture right now, because of both the MonsterVerse and the success of Godzilla -1, I expect Toho to have big plans for the King of the Monsters. So those are all the toys I'm looking forward to picking up in 2024. I know there's a lot of big brands that I didn't mention, like Star Wars and G.I. Joe, but nothing from those brands has piqued my interest yet. What are you guys most looking forward to? New figures from the big makers like Mattel and Hasbro? More collectors-oriented figures from companies like NECA or Super 7? Smaller companies like Boss Fight and Plastic Meatball? Or maybe even cheaper kids line toys from Leonard and Chap May? Or have any of you decided not to bother anymore with new toys and go all vintage with your new purchases? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.